Concrete is cement, aggregate, and sand. Can narrow it down to 1920s to 1970s cement. A hidden chamber was just found under Oak Island. And Emma Culligan says it might be the biggest clue ever. While digging through thick, wet dirt, something strange appeared, a wooden board that didn't belong there. But who would go through all that trouble to hide something? And why? Stay tuned, cause what they uncovered made the President of the US send the military and close the island. The board that, shouldn't be there. Most people would have ignored it. It's just some old wood, right? But Rick and the team knew better. Boards don't just show up down there unless someone put them there. That little piece of timber might be the beginning of something huge. And let's be honest, if you're on an island that swallowed treasure hunters for over 200 years, nothing is just anything. Before we dig deeper, what they found under that board is far bigger than anyone expected. And this is only the beginning of the shocking truth buried on Oak Island. Emma Culligan, the woman who doesn't blink when the word ancient is thrown around, got called in, and not because they needed her opinion on decoration. No, this was serious. They wanted to know if what they found was actually part of something built. Maybe even the infamous flood tunnel that was supposed to lead to the one and only money pit. That's the golden egg everyone's been chasing. As the digging continued, things got weirder. The one board became two. I don't think it's anything post-1980s because it's missing modern concrete mix. Emma noted. Then a beam, then concrete. Wait, what? Concrete doesn't belong here, at least. Not unless someone back in the day poured it to plug up something they didn't want others finding. And not just any concrete. Emma's test showed this stuff had Portland cement in it, not made last year, but something that probably came from Quebec between the 1920s and the 1970s. That right there told them it wasn't nature's doing. It was human, intentional, strategic. Now, let's pause for a second and think, who in their right mind brings cement out to a muddy, cursed island? Someone who is desperate to cover something up. Poor someone who found something and wanted to protect it. There was also a curious wall of rocks, not just scattered rocks, lined up like someone had a blueprint. That's not how nature works. And buried beneath that, even more signs of a tunnel or chamber. Rick stood there. He's probably thinking what we all were. If this is the flood tunnel and it lines up with the old maps, then we're finally staring at the proof that something's been hidden here all along. After all the holes, the cache, and even some blood spilled chasing ghosts, it might actually be on to something real. The craziest part, it gets deeper, literally. This structure isn't just sitting around for anyone to trip over. It's buried over 30 foot down. That's not some casual shovel job that someone's spending weeks or months building. Something they wanted to keep away from prying eyes. In your experience, are you willing to say that this could be a camp?
Yeah.
Some kind of encampment? Back in the war room, Emma laid out her findings. Not flashy, just facts. The concrete was old, but not ancient, and the sand and gravel matched. Local stuff, Nova Scotia, to be exact. That told them whoever made it was nearby, knew the land, and had the tools, and the timing fit with the resto's attempts to seal off the flood tunnel back in the EP 1960s. They were convinced they were this close to figuring it out. Maybe they were. Maybe what the team found now is what the restores left behind after trying to plug up the ocean itself. But here's where it gets shady. If they were sealing off the tunnel, then what were they trying to hide or protect? If they knew exactly where the tunnel was, why did everything go silent afterward? Did someone stop them? Did they find what they were looking for? That question hung over the room like a storm. Every clue, every rock, every old piece of wood is whispering the same thing. There's something here. Something someone didn't want anyone else to find. But just when things got serious, the concrete started pointing to something bigger than anyone thought, a tunnel that refuses to stay hidden. You'd think after decades of dead ends, they'd be used to false hope. But this time felt different. The pieces were finally clicking. The tunnel exists. The concrete was put there by human hands. Now the old maps line up. Even nature can't fake that kind of coordination. The group didn't jump up or cheer loudly. That's just not who they are. Not the kind of people who make a big scene or act over the top. But if you look closely at their faces, you'd see something much louder than any shout.
Oh.
Their eyes gave everything away. There was a fire in them. A deep, quiet strength. They weren't about to walk away. Not now. Not when the signs were lining up in such a clear way. Not when they might be standing only a few feet from something that's been hidden for hundreds of years. Not when every step forward feels like it could be the one that breaks everything wide open, following a trail of clues. And I think it's important to continue this work. And that's where the big question comes in. Why? Why would anyone, whether it was one person or a whole group, go through all of this? Why would someone dig deep into the earth, carve out tunnels, let water flood through them, and then make it even harder by throwing in traps and covering the whole thing with layers of beams, rocks, and cement? That's not just hard work. It's the kind of task that takes serious thinking, a lot of planning, and a good amount of money. People don't do things like that unless they've got a very strong reason. And the only reason that really makes sense when you look at all the effort in danger is that something valuable was hidden there. Not a symbol, not a message, not something meant to teach a lesson. We're talking about something real, something you can hold in your hands. Something heavy, maybe gold, maybe jewels, maybe both. The kind of treasure people dream about their whole lives. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Things have taken a strange turn. If the Restall family really found one of the main tunnels back then, sealed it off and then left without digging further, what are we supposed to think about that? What happened down there that made them stop? Did they get too close and panic? Were they warned off maybe by someone who didn't want the truth to be uncovered? Or did they come this close, just inches away, and give up without realizing how close they were to something huge? Maybe they thought they were done, but in truth, they were just a breath away from finding what so many have searched for. Emma never said anything directly. She's the quiet type. Lets her facts do the talking, but her report made one thing very clear. She was able to narrow things down to a specific time. Somewhere between the year 1920 and the year 1970, someone left behind a path made of cement. Not dirt, not wood, not stone, cement. And that path, cold, solid, and man-made, could lead straight to something deeper and darker than anyone expected. Something that might be the answer to why so many have kept turning to this island again and again for over 200 years. As they got closer to the truth, they knew they needed someone who could understand both the science and the history from Japan to buried gold. Emma Culligan didn't take the usual path. She didn't grow up planning every step or chasing titles. She just kept moving toward what felt right even when it made no sense to others to her start. Well, it wasn't some polished perfect plan. Emma's early years were spent in Japan, speaking Japanese before she ever touched English. She didn't start learning English until she was 15. Let that sink in. Most folks have years to master just one language. She switched gears fast, adapted quicker, and kept going. Now, imagine trying to dive into a field that demands not just brains, but focus, precision, and stamina. That's what Emma did when she got into engineering. She first hit the books at Doosa University in Halifax, but something about it didn't click. She transferred to Memorial University of Newfoundland. Didn't just stick with engineering. She added archaeology into the mix. Think about that. One path is all math, structure, measurements. The other digging into dirt, history, and human remains. She chose both. Why? Because Emma doesn't do easy. She does what challenges her. Her time at Memorial wasn't about showing up and passing classes. She worked as a research assistant in the archaeology department. She wasn't there to watch others work. She was handling real artifacts, applying real methods, and learning by doing. She didn't sit back waiting for someone to tell her what to do. She got her hands dirty, literally. But wait, it wasn't all digging and science gear. Mo worked in Calgary at a zoo, dealing with visitors and public questions. Not glamorous maybe, but it built her people skills. It taught her patience and how to explain complex things in simple ways. After that, she took an internship at the Nova Scotia Department of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal. Public sector work isn't flashy, but it's real. It's where systems break, budgets tighten, and still things need fixing. Learned the grind. She didn't stop there. A material technician at a mech, Foster Wheeler. She pushed even deeper into the technical world, materials, testing, quality checks, data. If something was off, she had to catch it. And she did. Fast forward to 2018. That's when she landed a job at Frontier Geosciences. Finally, a role where her love for engineering and archaeology could play together. This wasn't desk work. It was about being in charge of underwater sites. Examining what most people never even think about, what lies beneath the surface. She likely led excavations and examined metal objects that had been underwater for who knows how long. It takes more than knowledge. It takes guts. Then came a twist no one saw coming. She joined a TV show, Not just any show, but one of the History Channel's biggest hits, The Curse of Oak Island. In Season 10, she came on board as an archaeist. That's someone who studies metal from ancient times and tells you what it's made of and where it might come from. Sounds dry. It's not. This is where science meets buried treasure. Literally. She worked with tools like X-ray fluorescence and X-ray diffraction. These aren't everyday machines. They scan artifacts to see what they're made of, helping the team figure out if they've stumbled onto something rare, old, or even from another continent. One standout moment. She analyzed a lead object. Not only did she break down what it was made of, but she also offered insight into its possible backstory, and viewers loved her. For that. She didn't talk down. She made hard science feel like a story. Off camera, she wasn't slowing down. Emma has a big idea, one that most people wouldn't even dare to imagine. She wants to create a worldwide shared database of artifacts. A place where archaeologists and historians can input data from items they find like metals, pottery, or tools and match them to others across the globe. Imagine the power of tracing a chunk of iron from Canada all the way to a mine in Europe. It's bold. It's complicated. And yes, she's already working with places like the Fortress of Louisbourg, Acadia University, and the Black Loyalist Heritage Society. This idea isn't about showing off. It's about making connections between past and present. It's about learning where people went, what they carried, and how they built the world we live in. And she's pulling it off by teaming up with real institutions, not just throwing ideas into the wind. Her personal life, it's quieter, but you can tell a lot from the few details she shares. She's close with her mother, Shirley Harden. The connection runs deep. Family matters to Emma and culture matters even more. Growing up in Japan didn't just shape her language, it shaped how she sees the world. She moves through it with curiosity and respect, picking up ideas and influences from every stop. Look, it would be easy to paint Emma as a brainiac overachiever, but that's not the real story. The real story is how she moves through life. No straight lines, no easy wins. Just a pattern of picking tough things, showing up, learning the ropes, and doing the job well. She didn't chase fame. The show came to her because she was good at what she did. She didn't ask to be a fan favorite. That happened because people saw she was the real deal. Her work wasn't scripted. It mattered. It pushed the team forward and helped the audience understand why old metal bits can tell a whole story about people long gone. While Emma helped make sense of what they found. The island's long and strange past still needed a closer look, a hole that swallowed centuries. Oak Island is one of those places that keeps dragging people back even when it should probably just be left alone. It's a tiny island near Nova Scotia, Canada. But you'd think it was hiding the secret to life itself with the way people treat it. For over 200 years, folks have been digging, guessing, dreaming, sometimes even dying all because they think there's some big treasure buried deep underground. But the truth, it's mostly just a whole lot of mud and disappointment. It all started in 1795 when 3 teens stumbled across a weird dip in the ground. They dug a bit and found wooden planks laid out like steps in a shaft. People quickly called it the money pit, assuming someone had gone through a lot of trouble to hide something valuable. But here's the thing, no one really knows if that hole was man-made or just a natural sinkhole that tricked some bored kids. Still, the story spread like wildfire, and the island's reputation as a treasure hotspot was born. Since then, people have found odd things. A copper coin from the 1600s. A lead cross that might be even older. And tiny pieces of old paper. Interesting. Sure. Proof of pirate gold or sacred relics? Not exactly. Yet, somehow these scraps have sparked wild theories. Some say the pirate Captain Kidd hid his loot there. Others talk about the Knights Templar burying the Holy Grail, even the Ark of the Covenant. Some go as far as saying Shakespeare's lost plays or Marie Antoinette's missing jewels are down there. But the real kicker, no one's ever found solid proof. It's just a lot of digging.